Well guys, the wait is over and arguably the most anticipated game in the history of the Xbox is upon us. Halo Reach hit stores on September 14th and marks the 5th first-person shooter Halo game we've seen to date. This game couldn't have received any more hype, but the burning question here is, after all the hype this game did receive, is the newest Halo worth reaching out for? Well, let us wait no longer and jump straight into it. Gotcha, you little fuck! Halo Reach takes place before the beginning of the original Halo trilogy, therefore it should be of no surprise to anyone that the story is simply a big, long lead up to the first Halo. You play as one of the 6 main protagonists, Noble 6, in a squad known as Noble Squad. As a Spartan, it is your duty to protect the planet Reach, the first human colonised planet since Earth, from any invading forces that may threaten it. And wouldn't you know it, an alien race known as the Covenant, which everybody already knows, launched an attack on Reach, and it's up to you and the rest of the Noble team to defend your home planet against the attack. For the most part, the story in Halo Reach is told pretty well, primarily using fantastic pre- and post-mission cutscenes as well as some small in-game cinematics and dialogue to get the story across. The story is told very fluently and players rarely feel like they are being pulled out of the action in order to learn of what's going on. Cutscenes are done well and feature excellent voice acting and animation, which certainly helps to engage the player's interest throughout the game. Although there are a few plot changes and glimmers of hope for the Noble Squad here and there, these don't seem to matter much, as anyone that has already played the original Halo will know pretty much exactly how the story will conclude. It's kind of like watching a great movie, but already having seen the ending. That's not an issue in the slightest, however, as Reach offers an intriguing story that provides an intriguing look into history of the franchise. Naturally, by doing so, it reveals to players how iconic characters of the original trilogy, like Cortana and the world-renowned Master Chief, came to be.
Not gonna lie to you, Lieutenant. You're stepping into some shoes the rest of the squad would rather leave unfilled.
Halo Reach is a gorgeous looking game. When Halo 3 was first released on the Xbox 360 years ago, the graphics were very underwhelming for what people expected from the Xbox 360. Reach definitely changes these perceptions, and what we get is a true representation of what a next generation Halo game should look like. Reach features beautifully detailed environments and backdrops that are simply breathtaking. It delivers to players the planet Reach in all its beauty. Model detail is great, with the Spartans looking great and well detailed, and the Covenant all look fantastic, especially the elites. Animation is smooth and fluent, and the weapons and vehicles throughout the game all look magnificent. There is a minor jitter that I noticed, however. The frame rate does stutter a little bit when the engine can't keep up with the action that's taking place. Keep in mind, however, that this only happened to me once. For the most part, Halo Reach is a beautiful game. Like every other Halo game, Halo Reach is complemented by an epic orchestral soundtrack that complements every moment of the game. This awesome score simply lifts the game from good to great and is just awesome. Weapon sound effects, explosions and other sound effects all sound great and seem to immerse the player even deeper in the raging war that Reach portrays. The Covenant no longer speak English, which makes them appear more alien-like and downright intimidating as they did in the first game. The elites, again, are a prime example. The core gameplay in Halo Reach is fantastic, and although it doesn't stray too far from past games in the series, it certainly adds in plenty of features to add variety and spice things up. The story campaign can be tackled solo or with up to 3 friends either locally or via Xbox Live. As soon as you boot up the game initially, you are given the task of customizing your own Spartan avatar, which you will actually play as throughout the duration of the story campaign. The level of customization is very deep in this instance, as you can customize almost everything right down to the gender and the voice of your on-screen avatar. Throughout the story campaign, players will run and gun their way through a variety of different locales and face the entire roster of Covenant forces, ranging from the puny one-hit kill grunts to the enormous epic hunters and brutes. Each mission simply has the player moving from one skirmish to the next. However, although this may sound boring, it never is. Bungie somehow makes every single mission feel unique and constantly keeps the player engrossed in the action. One mission that will be memorable for most people is the space combat mission, when, instead of the first-person shooter style of gameplay, players take control of a fighter ship as they shoot Covenant Banshees and other attack ships out of the sky. This portion plays surprisingly well with great manageable controls, a tolerable camera, and plenty of action to satisfy players. It reminded me of the older space combat games that actually worked. As well as fan favourites returning, players are presented with a variety of new weapons to put at their disposal. The beloved Magnum pistol with an invisible scope makes a welcome return, as well as many weapons debuting, including the plasma repeater, concussion rifle, grenade launcher, and many more. The vehicle choices are there for players as well, and sequels involving vehicles are just as fun as always, and always beat travelling on foot. New in Reach is the various armour abilities, which include sprinting, bubble shields, jetpacks, holograms, and more, which needless to say, come in handy numerous times throughout both the single player campaign and even the online multiplayer. The assassinations are a cool way to instantly kill an unsuspecting enemy from behind. However, I wouldn't recommend using them in the thick of a firefight, as you may find yourself killed in the middle of the animation. Regenerative health also makes a welcome return, making you feel like the Spartan you are. The campaign duration is about 8 to 10 hours long. All of course depends on what difficulty setting you play it on, whether it be the easy difficulty or on the brutally difficult legendary setting. Enemy AI is relatively smart, utilising cover and taking sensible shots which can drop a careless player in a matter of seconds. Ally AI, however, is the opposite. Dumb. They'll shoot at enemies but rarely actually take one down, leaving all the work up to you. And make sure whatever you do not let them drive, as they'll either drive in circles and get absolutely nowhere, or drive you into the middle of a sea of Covenant and stop, meaning instant fucking death for you. The story campaign in Reach is fun, challenging, and definitely one of the best campaigns I've had the pleasure of playing since the original Halo. Of course, once the single player campaign is concluded, players have still only played a small portion of Reach. The online multiplayer is huge, with a variety of different game modes to become immersed in. All of the original favourites are present, with a number of different twists and features, not to mention the new game modes entirely. With new weapons, vehicles, maps and armour abilities, matches are fun, action-packed, fast-paced and addictive as hell.
Revenge.
Possibly the only setback is the initial lack of maps. There are only a few, which seems to be inspired from locales of the story campaign or maps from previous games. Further maps will more than likely be included in coming DLC, but a few more from the get-go would have been nice. So ladies and gentlemen, I can conclude that Halo Reach is definitely worth every minute the player spent waiting for it, as well as every dollar the player spent buying it. With a deeply enjoyable and interesting story campaign, an addictive online experience which will undoubtedly add months if not years onto the playtime of the game, and a beautiful audio-visual presentation to boot, Halo Reach is definitely a must-buy for Xbox owners and a great way to conclude Bungie's involvement in the Halo franchise.
What do you want? Why have you shot me?